Hello, welcome to this episode of the REBT Advocates with Dr. Michael R. Adelstein of 3minutetherapy.com. You can find his book on that website or therebt.life. He's a clinical psychologist in the San Francisco Bay Area, and you can find him online and on the phone, and he's just an available dude. Really good at what he does, too. And me, Tommy Bateman, REBT counselor, licensed counselor in Virginia. So today we wanted to enhance our REBT. Not necessarily doing the ABCs, but doing things in ways of making it a little bit easier, a little bit better, more fulfilling. Michael, what do you think I'm about to get into?
I don't know, but I have some suggestions on enhancing REBT and making your life better, other ways to improve your life in addition to strictly identifying demands, musts and shoulds, questioning and contradicting them, but other additions to your life to make it better, happier, and as you're saying, Tommy, be more effective at doing your REBT because you're in a better mood and thinking more clearly.
Exactly. So, let me pose a question to you. One of the most psychopathological thoughts we have, or let's just say irrational beliefs we have, is I can't stand it. So you're going through a hard time, you don't like it, it's you're in pain of some sort, and you think the thought, I can't stand this, whatever this thing is you're going through. Well, the emotional consequence or C of that is, well, you're not standing it, you're freaking out, you're not having a good time, panic, mayhem, just bedlam all around. But let's say that activating event, the A, is pain, and the pain is at a 10 out of a 10. Really hard to say to avoid the thought, I can't stand this, correct? Sure. Would it be easier to avoid the words, I can't stand it, if the pain was at a 5 out of 10? I would say so. So with that premise in mind, let's consider some alternative ways. So one of the things I recommend, and I'm a big fan of, is exercising your body, becoming in good physical health. Not only does that increase your discipline, your mental discipline, and doing something every day, something strenuous, and of course, while you're feeling the pain of pumping some iron, you're thinking, I can stand this, I can do this, this is okay, I can keep going. I've withstood worse before. Then, when you're on the other side of it, when you're in better shape, well, sometimes when anxiety hits you, the physical part of anxiety doesn't hit you quite as hard, keeping you in a more rational frame of, more rational state, able to dispute those irrational beats. Michael, I rambled. Go.
Yeah, so one of the aspects of REBT is it's based on the scientific method. Asking yourself about your hypotheses, like I need love and approval or else I'm a loser, is questioning, challenging, and contradicting those ideas. So the more you learn to question and challenge ideas, the more effective you'll tend to be when you question and challenge your demands. So you could practice, when you read something, practice asking yourself questions about it. And two good questions are, what do you mean? And how do you know? So for example, let's suppose I said the earth is not round, and you said, what do you mean? Then I might say, well, the shape of the earth is not a sphere, it's a spheroid, an oblate spheroid. And then you could say, well, how do you know? And I could say, I read that the earth is flattened at the poles and bulges at the equator. So those are two good questions to ask yourself and others.
Yeah, I really like that. In fact, that was kind of leading into one of my other suggestions is reading things that help us ask those very important questions. I recommend, reading scientific articles because they help you think in that sort of way. I recommend reading philosophy because Michael asked a question about how do we know things. I'm going to butcher the word epistemology, how the study of how we know things. Very good philosophical topic and very important, I think, in general. And of course, for the religious like myself, theology, kind of narrowing down what our holy text says. That's very important to kind of lean us towards finding out bigger truths or asking the very important questions. So yeah, I recommend working out hard, being physically fit, eating well, and then training your mind as well to think in a deeper way to be even more effective when you're disputing.
yes, training your mind. That's what REBT relies on, a trained mind, and helps you train your mind. Also, since REBT is loosely based on the scientific method and science, read more about science. What is science? What is pseudoscience? What are scientific methods? The philosophy of science.
Mhm.
So all those aspects of science would be useful.
Philosophy of science is one of my absolute favorite topics. When you get into methodological realism, all that sort of thing, materialism, when asking, uh, you know, the assumptions that we have in the scientific method that undergird what we do to begin with. These are fun things, topics to get into, and you can get really lost in them. So yeah, Michael, thank you for mentioning that one as well.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Another one is since what we're going for in REBT is how to be less depressed, less anxious, less angry, what we're going for is happiness. Read studies on happiness. What is a common theme among people who are happy? And see if some of those themes rings a bell for you.
Yeah, in fact, yeah, you're reminding me. I think we talked about this on the program a year or so ago. Angela Duckworth and her crew, I think at Penn State, is it? They have a whole department in their psychology department focused specifically on happiness. Angela Duckworth wrote a book called Grit, which has a lot of themes that I think kind of overlay with what we do in REBT. I recommend it just as a fun book to read, but also the whole happiness crew at, I think it's Penn State, man. I hope I'm not wrong about that one.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And I'm happy you recommended a book. I have a book to recommend. Martin Seligman started a school of therapy called positive psychology, which in a way extends how to feel happier after you've been practicing REBT. And he wrote a book called Positive Psychology, Martin Seligman. So I recommend his book and doing some research on positive psychology. You'll see a lot of good strategies there, like having a gratitudes list and listing goals and working toward them, etc.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my phone because the positive psychology school in Martin Seligman was exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm trying to see if they're at Penn State. I don't know. Is it? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that's exactly. We're on the same page, Michael. Once again. Once again.
Yeah, yeah.
So
For having a more fulfilling relationship, again, reading books, doing research, Googling, YouTubes. And one of the people I follow is John Gottman, Gottman. He wrote a book called The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work, and it goes for any intimate relationship. And I have a chapter in my book, 3-Minute Therapy, on marriage problems and relationship problems.
and I'm going to not say anything else besides it was University of Pennsylvania. I just found
Okay,
out Penn
okay,
State.
very good.
Yeah.
And then another big aspect of health is nutritional health. And I suggest some of the works of T. Colin Campbell, and he wrote a book that covers a few of the fields we're recommending. It's called Whole, W-H-O-L-E, Rethinking Nutritional Science. So you learn more about science, reductionist science, and how to apply it to nutrition to come up with a good way of eating for yourself.
Exactly. And on that note, between nutrition and sleep, I know if I don't get enough sleep, REBT kind of flies out the window for me. I mean, quite often. Yeah, good sleep, good nutrition, good body, good mind. It makes the REBT way more effective. So we're not
And
saying
good
A causes
relationships.
C, right? We're not saying that because a person with a great body can feel a 1 out of a 10 and still freak out because they immediately think I can't stand it because they don't have a sound REBT way of thinking. So the 1 out of a 10 or the 10 out of a 10 doesn't cause that freaking out. It's the B, that in between. Mike.
Excellent. Thank you for highlighting that. And while we're highlighting, I also want to highlight REBT stands for Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy for you new people. You could call it Rational Emotive Behavior Education because it's more of an educational model than a therapy model. And my final recommendation, Tommy, is exercise. I don't think we've discussed exercise yet. So try different exercises. I find that different people gravitate to different exercises. Both weight training and aerobic exercises are very good for health, doing it on a regular basis. And to avoid pain and exercise injuries, I suggest a great book called Pain Free by Pete Egoscue, and there's a website, egoscue.com. Did you have any other suggestions, Tommy? I've run out.
No, I mean, we can ramble on. That was a smorgasbord, and if you ever want us to go into something more individual, one of those topics that we discussed, you really want us to hone in on that, please send us an email at rebtadvocates@gmail.com. We would love to attack things further. I know we were all over the place with this one, but man, these are all great suggestions to help us enhance that REBT. So, Michael, any final thoughts?
Yes. Actually, Tommy and I this morning were discussing what to discuss, and Tommy came up with this great topic. So if you'd like to chime in with some subjects you'd like us to discuss on our REBT advocates, please let us know below, and you could volunteer to discuss a personal problem or to discuss a problem you're having with a client if you're a therapist. And please comment, give us a like, support us on Patreon, and subscribe to the REBT Advocates to stay on the rational side of life.